I'm not at middle age yet, but I reached my middle age experience.
Correct.
Meaning, now I got to ask myself, is being this red hot warrior going to continue to feed me and serve me and be the best choice for me? No. Or is there something else? And so I created for myself the opportunity through the work and momentum that I created as a warrior to step away and come into the garden and develop my intuition, develop my sensuality. I can be a nurturing father now, exactly, rather than just a bloodthirsty, head-oriented, point of the sword father. And Colleen, at the same time now, she was able to go through her child rearing and childbearing phase fully. Fully. Oh, when I was saying before about creating the experience for her, we decided that if I had to be broke, if I was going to have just one income, because the world tells you that you need 2 incomes, which is a lie, we were just going to live very meager. I was okay with that. She was okay with that. Maybe we just won't have the finer things that people have when they have 2 families, 2 people working, but we'll have an intact, natural, normal, beautiful family. Right. And so now that we did that, she reaches middle age, and she now PTA president at the school. She comes in here and she lifts. Here is some of my emails for talking to you. She works for me now, yeah. She's out there. She has a job. Rather than sending my wife out there to go work for some other man, blows my mind that people do this. Yeah. It's I created momentum and I created a circumstance where, babe, now that you want to express yourself and be a little bit more extroverted, I could use your help in my business. Okay, I feel you. So what would you advise to a man that has a girlfriend, myself, and it's hard for her to understand my fully expressed warrior season? Because I tell to her that this is a season. I mean, I'm not going to be on my warrior stage for long enough just because I want to be able to develop my lover later on. But right now, as I'm starting to build my business, I work on the weekends. I work at 10 p.m., I wake up at 5. So it's very limited, the amount of time that I can give you. So how can I basically say it to her? Well, you say it to her because she's going to watch this, to make her understand that it is seasonal and that it's okay and that it's the way that it's supposed to be. Or how do I do to actually kind of balance? Man, there's so many different ways I can approach that. Number one is that's why you have children. She will not bother you if she's got a baby and she's taking care of herself and the baby. She's nursing the baby. And then she's raising the children. She doesn't know her purpose yet as a woman. So my wife wasn't hankering for my attention like a needy woman because I got to go out there and work while she was protecting and caring for and nursing the children. She had a purpose, my wife. Women these days, and this is why the next thing I would say, besides getting her pregnant, the next thing I would say is... Yeah, let's take away the kids for now. Let's take away the kids for now. Well, I threw that out there because that has been a positive experience in my life. I want to do it in like a year or 2. But that's okay. But in the meantime... During this year. In the meantime, you're going to be dealing with a bored woman that wants your attention. Well, number one, and I'm going to be facetious in saying this, just like I was with the pregnancy, you got to get the right woman. Correct. You got to get a woman who wants to be a woman. A lot of the women in our world have been trained to be men. That's correct. Can't trust a man. I got to get out there and get it. I got to be a career woman. And so they're out there competing with men, which they don't really want to do. They don't really want to do that. It's not in their DNA, but it's in their ego, and they've been trained to be that way. So now when she's supposed to be out there, and she's miserable doing it, and you're out there really doing it because it's in your DNA. Yes. Where are you? Why are you not with me? What's going on? I need you. Put a seed in her. Shut up. Put it with the kid. Okay, but there is a difference now. She's not in that go-get-it mentality. She's actually on the. She wants to have a baby. She's on the very, very, very feminine energy right now. But she still asks me for more attention that I can give. She wants a baby. Yes. I can see that. That's what I would do. That's what I would say. If I had to give you my best advice, have a baby right now. If you know this is your woman and she's a good woman and she wants to be provided for and protected, then she really does want you to go out there and work your face off. Colleen loved to see me breaking my face and out there working from sun up to sundown, even longer. In high school, I was a captain of the football team, and she was a cheerleader. She would write me notes when I was out there working and getting it and killing it, and put in my lunch, just like a good mama would do. I love you. Thank you so much for being such a hard worker and protector for our family. And she would send me off. No questions, no quarrels about me working hard, because she knew, number one, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do during that phase in our life, not because I told her this, not because I knew, but because it's innate, and she's busy with the children.
Okay. The thing is, I think that's gonna maybe make it worse even. Just because she's gonna have the baby, and then she's gonna say, okay, now you need to work less and be here more with me attending our child.
I can't figure out how anyone can deal with a woman that would nag them.
How do I
that sounds like nagging, and I'm sorry to say it.
No,
like,
no, it's okay, it's okay.
I'm sure you're a woman, she's a great woman, but she
No, she allows me a lot of things. She allows me a lot of things. She doesn't ask me for that much of attention, but I do.
She wants you to get out there and get it done. She wants you to be a warrior.
She wants that, but,
and here's the other
her
thing.
ego says another thing.
Don't listen to what women say.
Okay.
And I can say this, and my wife won't get so upset, because I said I had a rational woman.
Okay.
I have a very rational. I have the greatest woman on earth.
Me too. It's a Gemini, so it's fucking like up here, up here.
But the whole idea is that what she really wants, not what she says, but what she really wants, is an alpha male. You carry a tremendous amount of alpha in you. This is based on the work of Rollo Tomasi in The Rational Male, where he talks about hypergamy and the different stages of women and what they want during different stages, and uses this term, alpha fucks and beta bucks.
Yeah, I heard that in one of your recent videos.
And you want to be that, and she wants you to be that.
Yeah.
She wants you to be that alpha, strong, energy.
Why do they ask for the opposite? Like,
because the world has confused them.
They ask nowadays for attention, be with me, don't work too much.
She wants you to be the beta bucks and the alpha fucks. She wants you to be who you are, and she wants you to provide. But Disney movies, princess movies, culture, popular culture. One of the guys who I like watching on YouTube says, children of the lie. We have been sold lies, and women are the first ones to bite the apple, to bite the lie. So they see Disney movies and Prince Charmings, and they think that's what they want. That's why weddings are so damn expensive, and it's all about this princess experience, which is completely mind-blowing. It doesn't make any sense, not rational at all. It's all based on emotion. And Prince Charming, who's going to be there to put her on a pedestal, and really, it's impossible for you to fulfill all of those Disney princess whims and emotional attachments that she has.
That's right.
The very first thing that we got to do with our daughters is to stop them from watching Disney movies, because it gets them to buy into this narrative, this lie, that ultimately, this is why the Garden of Eden is such a fascinating allegory and metaphor, that the women bite the apple first. They get seduced by society first. And then men, because we want to protect, we want to provide, we want to devote ourselves to the woman, go along with it.
Okay. Got it.
We got to realize, hey babe, stop biting that apple. It's bullshit. It's based on evil. And follow my lead, because I'm a good man and I want to provide and protect and devote myself to you.
Gotcha.
When she can trust that, she can give up. Like you asked me before about watching TV. We don't watch TV. My wife doesn't watch TV.
Okay.
Because she doesn't need to be brainwashed by media. And it's not because I tell her that, it's because she's a rational woman. And she has a purpose. My woman has a purpose. She's a mother.
Yes.
She has the greatest purpose on earth. She cares for the children. I mean, it's a full-time job caring for the children. Now she participates in the schools, and she's a PTA and all this. She doesn't need fantasy and movies and Disney princess narratives to draw me further down into some rabbit hole of imagination. It's all bullshit.
All right, babe. We're getting a son very soon.
Yep.
Elliott said it.
Well, look, you know, I wanted to grow up very quickly.
Yes.
And I know, because when I listened to older men, there was a time when young men got out of high school and it was, you get a job, you buy a house, and then you get a woman.
Yes.
That was the path.
She did it the other way, completely around.
Now we're little boys until we're in our 30s. Still adventuring out there, still testing the waters out there, still being little boys. So I can only relate to my experience and what I know has been traditional, and that is when a young man is ready to strike that out there in the world, he's got to go do that. And at the same time, when he finds that woman, give her ample opportunity to be her fullness as a woman too, which means start having your family. The purpose of relationship and marriage is to have a family.
That's correct.
I don't need a friend.
Yeah.
And I don't need a slave. I don't need a woman who's at home because she needs to cook and clean for me. No. And I don't need her to be my friend. It's nice that she's my friend and she takes good care.
Exception too, that your woman has to be your best friend.
This is the craziest thing. Really? I listen to these, yeah, your woman needs to be your friend. And here's what's even worse. They want their women to be like them. So I have all these guys, oh, I'm into exercise, I'm into entrepreneurship, but my woman, she's not into that. And I wish she would be.
No, allow her to be whatever she wants to be.
I don't want another man. If I want to exercise, I lift with my boys. Exactly. If I want to be an entrepreneur, I go into mastermind groups and I work with other male entrepreneurs.
That's correct.
I want to do that because it's in my nature as a warrior during the stage in my life, and at the same time, I want to create the greatest environment for you to fulfill what is prevalent in your nature right now. Yes. A woman is at her prime between 14 and 24. That's the window at which they're their most fertile and ready to be childbearing.
Okay. My girlfriend
so
is 23.
young men, get out there, get a job or start your business, get a home first. This is another thing where they fuck up. They move in with a woman.
Oh yeah.
Don't move in with a woman. You get a house first so that she comes into your frame. Very important stuff. And then create a home, create a boundary, create safety and security, earn the money so that she could stay home and be pregnant and have children.
Exactly.
And raise a good family.
Yes. Amazing advice. Amazing, amazing. All right, start wrapping things up. For the 4 archetypes, how would you develop a king? And what were your king phases throughout your entire life? That was your last stage, basically, I would say. But you always have it in you.
No. I wouldn't say it's my last stage, because wherever there's a king, there's a sacrifice. That means the minute you reach your heights is when you got to say goodbye and start again.
That's correct.
How can I explain this? Let me go back to your original question, because I don't want to be too metaphorical and lose the idea.
I like good questions.
So how do you develop your king? This is really what you're asking. For the most part, most of us develop a infantile, imbalanced, demonic, possessed king.
Correct.
And it shows up in 2 ways. The demonic possessed king that needs to die, there needs to be a sacrifice, shows up in an imbalance of being a tyrant or being a pushover, being giving away their power, a tyrant or a coward.
Okay.
If you find that you sit back and you let people walk all over you and you don't speak up and you haven't decided what you want, you don't set any goals, you're in your coward king.
Yeah.
And that's a demonic possession. That's an imbalance in the polarity of what's required with a king.
Okay.
And then you have the other end of the spectrum where there's a tyrant, where you're a psychopath. You want to control people, you want to control the environment, and you're mean, and you see what I'm saying?
Yes. And how do you balance both of those?
So when you understand that the king quality, as it relates to the four ways of being, the 4 modes of being, thinking, feeling, being, doing, it's about being.
Okay.
To develop your king.
So let's go back. Warrior is doing.
Active, very doing.
Very doing.
Lover will be
sensing, feeling.
Feeling. Magician.
Thinking.
Of course. And then.
The king is about being, and this is our most confusing thing in our world that's fueled with emotion and action, fear and head.
And fear. Yeah.
Right. And so what's required is stillness.
Meditation, basically.
Meditation. Learning to be. Because it is through our king quality that we reach higher consciousness and reach into the realm of the eternal Father. It's very important that our earthly fathers provide a pattern for us. Yes. But ultimately, every man is to return to the Heavenly Father through his king quality, and that requires stillness, meditation, being, so that God can speak to you through revelation rather than thoughts. A lot of times we think God is telling us something because we feel something. Well, God's telling me that I need to do this because I'm excited about it. Not necessarily. Or you've overthought it. These are usually demonic possessions. Yes. When you are in your stillness, when you are completely relaxed, God speaks to us through spontaneous insight, revelation, insight. And we don't have to worry about what to do because at that point we're being led.
Okay.
And so what makes a king powerful in our ancestors' cultures and in our personal experience is a king that can draw down the eternal blessings from up high. And when he can draw down the creativity and the power from God through his stillness, his entire life in the world around him, his woman, his family, and the world around him is set in order. But if he's emotional, if he's overthinking, if he's anxious, if he's depressed, then he's not connected to himself. He's lost, and the family's going to be lost, and the world is going to be in chaos.
Were you developing your king at your young age, or was that later?
I've been a coward and a tyrant in various degrees throughout my entire experience. It hasn't been but very recently, these past few years, I would say, that I come into trusting my king, trusting the being. Being requires trust. And this is why it has a lot to do with God, because God is not tangible. Spirit,
allowing, surrendering.
Yes, surrendering.
So hard.
The king doesn't do anything. This is the crazy thing, because we think in terms of kings, like the king needs to create order. Or Robert Moore says that the king doesn't create order, but where the king stands, order ensues. It has everything to do with trusting in your being.
I feel you. Damn. Okay. So let's wrap it up with some questions from my subscribers. Because I think I'll ask you all. I didn't even read this, but let's finish off with, okay, question for Elliott. Can you talk about the spiritual aspects of strength and conditioning training when we're doing it for ourselves, rather just because I need it for some sport? Also, how are these two mentality different? A sport competition-oriented mindset and self-connection growth-oriented mindset.
Well, the first thing I would draw your attention to when training and making it an existential experience is to watch a video I created called the Transcendent Rep. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but you look up Transcendent Rep.
Of course.
In that video, I hope to relay this concept of being in the zone. When an athlete is in the zone, he's shut his brain off and the movement is happening through him, and it's a very spiritual moment. Very spiritual. This term, ole, you guys are Spanish, you may have heard, ole comes from the Islamic influence in Spain of Allah. And when a dancer is dancing and they're doing ole, what they're essentially saying is God is moving through this person. He's out of the way, or she's out of the way, and ole, God is doing this thing. This is where we want to get to with regard, when we treat movement like meditation, that's what we're wanting to get to. It's very tantric. The more ego involved, the less spiritual it is. The more conscious we are about what we're doing, the more it's embodied, which is okay. But there's a way to get to the transcendent through movement. And that's why when you see like a Kobe Bryant, when he's in the zone, an athlete who's in the zone, that dude ain't thinking. He's just He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not thinking about a thing. He's not setting up. God is just moving through him, and it's a very spiritual experience.
That definitely answered that question, for sure. All right, next one from XEXUS Music. Elliott, I don't know I don't like my school so much, and I want to take the risk, but my parents don't allow me much to do with my life. I have 17 years old, and I'm finishing school next year. What should I do? That's a common question for you.
Well, I think it's a good idea to take those few years after high school. It's only in America, because I have so many fans and friends that are from Europe, that when the young man, even the young woman graduate from high school, they go travel. They go and experience different things. They take like a hiatus year, at least 1 year.
That's why they're 17 years old.
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah.
In America, we don't do that because America, we're owned by banks. Okay. Our culture is corporations and bank oriented. And so what they want to do is they want to get us into debt as quickly as possible. So as soon as the kid graduates from high school, you got to go to college. And that has everything to do with the money that these universities are siphoning off of us through these loans that will follow you to your grave. So you end up spending a whole lot of money, and you end up being a mama's boy at some university in a sorority, acting like a big kid. I think it's so much more, and this is where experiences like the military make sense. It's so much more powerful for a young man in that stage to go and experience a different part of himself. Not the feminized sit down, and school is very feminine. Sit down, receive, and regurgitate. That's very feminine, it's very passive. School's very passive. Go out there, take a year off and do something like, they've got these leadership programs where young men are out in the woods and they're learning how to make fire and how to fish. Most American men don't know this stuff. We don't know how to take care of ourselves. I would say, and this just came to me, another just came to me, the first time I'm putting it verbally, go out there and learn how to protect yourself by learning. Exercise is great, but you should know a martial art. Everybody should know hand-to-hand combat. Every man should know how to protect himself with his hands.
Do you have your own?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I don't. I mean, I was just a brute. I played football, and that's how I did it.
I did karate for 15 years.
Very good. I'd say go out there and learn.
Completely, yeah.
I want to put my kids right into that, for sure.
Yep. It's great for your masculine development, and it's very practical. A man who is going to be a provider and a protector must know how to fight.
Correct.
You got to be able to protect yourself.
Yes.
The second would be how to provide for yourself. We need to learn how to farm again, how to fish again, how to hunt again, how to make a fire, so really, I think the next evolution of education for young men, this is all coming to me right now, this is revelation,
It's coming from the divine.
is that you graduate high school and you got to learn how to provide and protect. You got to learn how to work the land and not get everything from the supermarket, because that is a figment of our imagination built by Disney mindset culture, that everything's going to be handed to you, mama's boys. We got to know how to provide for ourselves, and also how to protect ourselves. You should know how to fight. You should be physically strong and healthy, and you should know how to use firearms. In America, we, unlike the rest of the industrialized world, our founding fathers understood very core concepts when they developed our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. Very spiritual concepts. These men were brilliant. And to have the Second Amendment, not the third, not the seventh, not the 10th, the Second Amendment to right to bear arms means that there's something very spiritual, very important there. And every man should know how to protect himself and his family with arms, weapons, guns.
Correct. Well, we deviate from the question, but I think that was...
No, that's the answer. You want to know what to do. You graduate high school, young man, and then you go out there and you learn how to provide and protect.
Correct. Amazing. Beautiful. I think two more. This one's for Elliott. How do you really keep motivated and stay consistent with what you do, being in training or in your goals in life? That's the most common question ever. How do you stay motivated?
You don't.
It doesn't exist.
There's no reason to be motivated. Motivation is right, and it's very emotional. Our addiction to motivation is once again a byproduct of our mama's boy culture, where we're needing good feelings before we do anything.
Yes.
Motivation is great because it gives you a sense of what you want, what you're excited by, and where to go. But then we become men by devotion. That's very masculine. And motivation is very feminine, meaning it comes up from the feeling body, and it's okay. Very emotional, very feminine. But once that arrives, it is our rational discipline and devotion that turns that into the manly way. So don't look for motivation. Don't lament when motivation leaves, but always remember what you're devoted to.
Yeah. You need to find like the why, the specific why. What's your why, by the way?
Number one is my becoming the strongest version of myself, my own self-cultivation. And
others.
Number two is empowering, and it trickles out from my family to the people that I work with and out into the world. It has, it has to be me, us, all. It has to be that way. And it's crazy how many men do all, us, me, where they're working, especially in this day and age where everybody's a YouTuber and everybody wants to empower others, and I get it. They're out there trying to motivate the world, but then their family's suffering.
Yes.
Well, your wife's out there cheating on you, your kids don't respect you, and you're stressed out and unhealthy. It has to go from the core out.
Totally agree. Amazing. All right, next one, I think maybe last one, two more. Yo, Elliott, what calisthenics routine does he do when not hitting the weights?
Body weight exercise.
If you can count vinyasa yoga as calisthenics or body weight.
I would count it. People don't, but I always say yoga is calisthenics, calisthenics is yoga.
I love yoga.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the name that we put into it.
Yeah.
But it's still movement with your body weight and breathing.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So what type of exercises apart yoga? Like what are your favorites? I know you do pull-ups.
Oh, I add those as a part of my weight training.
Yeah. Do you push-ups?
So pull-ups, push-ups, dips. I'll do that as a part of my weight training.
Muscle-ups, have you tried?
I've done them before. I haven't done them in a while since tearing my biceps.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of stay away from the ring since then.
I feel you, I feel you. Injuries was another topic, but maybe for another interview because it's getting long. Okay, I have watched Elliott for years now, and he has get your shit together. Attitude that I try to adopt. Here's a question for him. In stressful situations, how do you stop overthinking and just get yourself to focus on one single thing?
You got to understand that your thoughts can be as tricky as anybody who wants to see you fail. Thoughts are not always of us.
That's true.
Thoughts don't always belong to us. They come and go. And so what you've got to do is hold every thought captive, meaning either if you're willing to, question them and see, like even ask, is this thought from, ask God the Father, ask our, we need to relate to our spiritual selves through a relationship with God the Father. That's very masculine.
Yes.
To think too much is very feminine, and to feel too much is very feminine. The masculine body is made up of the spiritual and the physical. And so what I invite you to do is to, when the thoughts come or the emotions come, either rise up out of it into the spiritual body by looking at them objectively, and just like a cloud, would go by. Good thoughts and bad. Just be objective about your thoughts and recognize that they don't always belong to you. They usually don't belong to us.
Exactly.
Be objective about your thoughts and let them come and let them pass. Or analyze them. Meaning, like, ask, like I said before, ask, is this truly from spirit? Is this truly from God? Or is this another demonic possession? Because demons, as according to Carl Jung and a collective unconscious, and the fact that God is numinous, even in the Bible it says that I create the light, I create the darkness, I create good, I create evil, I, God, am all, the Lord am all these things. God is not just good per se. God is not just good feelings and light. God is light and darkness. And we've got to be very careful how we relate to the numinous, as Jung would call it, relate to God. That's why in the Bible it says, fear God. Fear God don't mean God's going to come and strike you down. Fear God means be very careful, because there are demonic entities present within the spiritual realm. And if you don't hold yourself accountable and rational for the actions you take, you could very easily be carried away into all kinds of things that are no longer resourceful for you.
I feel you. Totally.
Be.
That's the takeaway.
Not thinking, not feeling.
Just be.
That's what a king does. He doesn't think, doesn't feel, doesn't do. Be.
Got it. Last question, kind of funny. Ask him if he would still be juicing steroids if he could turn back in time.
Would I do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Because I am grateful.
The why came from me, not from him.
I'm very grateful for the contrast in my life.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for the extremes in my life. Because I don't think if it were for the extremes in my life, I would know what balance is. Yeah. And so I have no regrets. I'm happy that I did that. Not only do I can integrate more of my experiences and find the middle ground myself, but I can also relate to young men in their imbalanced states. What better person to get advice from than one who has sinned himself? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a wild, crazy, red hot, juiced up warrior. Exactly. And so now that you're suffering from your warrior imbalance, I'm not just giving you theory. Yeah, I've been there. I know what that's like. Check it out. I did this.
So what about drugs? Did you do drugs also, or?
We all do drugs. There's not a single one of us that.
I mean, let's put it hardcore drugs.
Like, when you say hardcore drugs, you talk.
Cocaine, let's say.
Never used cocaine a day in my life. Never touched it. Never touched it before in my life.
Okay, cool. So maybe weed, of course.
Smoke weed to this day.
To this day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Day and night or just night?
When do I smoke?
Yeah.
Depends.
Okay. The reason why?
In the same way that bioenergetics and active meditation in general creates a calming of the nervous system, a relaxation within the body, marijuana does a lot of the same thing. What I found also too, though, is that smoking, again, like all drugs, medications, substances that we use, has its downside. So if you're wanting a quick relief from emotional turbulence, oh yeah, have a smoke.
Exactly.
What I'm finding, though, is that various meditations like flotation, sensory deprivation tanks.
I'm going to look into that.
Holosync, which I've used for many years, which worked to.
Yeah, I have the first one.
Yeah,
the second one was
very good.
Expensive.
If you're disciplined, and when I'm disciplined, with Holosync and building those commissarial neurons between the left and right brain, and I'm doing things like meditating consistently, then there's no need for the marijuana. There's no need for the weed.
Correct.
Because I'm relaxed.
Exactly.
But if I get off course, or if it's a tough day, I'll find myself reaching for the substance.
Yeah, much better than reaching
For a Xanax or something.
Right, and that's why I said we live in a culture where everyone's medicated.
Yes.
I tend to believe that the plants that are available to us, that have been here since the dawn of creation, and that it shows up in the Bible, and it shows up in many old traditions like Egyptian religion and stuff like that. They've used, even floating shows up in Egyptian. I didn't realize that. Sensory deprivation, the Egyptians used to do it. They're all gifts or sacraments from God that God, with his compassion for us, gives us as tools to take off the edge, or to give us a transcendent experience. All these guys who are doing like ayahuasca, and
I'm gonna ask you for that.
These are sacraments. They're gifts from God. They come from the earth in order to help us relate to our spiritual selves in a responsible way.
You've done ayahuasca, right? I heard on a podcast.
I did, and I didn't have the same experience a lot of people have. And I think it's because I had been so active in my own active meditation and bioenergetics that I had purged a lot of my garbage. I've seen a lot of my,
It's just releasing your energy and getting your mind out of the way so your body can express. Yeah. Basically. I haven't tried ayahuasca, but I've tried Mikey mushrooms. Have you tried them?
No.
You should.
And by the way, when it comes to smoking weed, I didn't start smoking weed till I was almost 35.
Was it before your off period of yoga? Or?
I don't believe a warrior could smoke weed and be a warrior. When you're in your warrior phase, even all these kids that are doing ayahuasca.
That's why I don't smoke weed because of that.
No, you're a warrior right now. I started smoking weed when I decided to start doing yoga. because I knew that I was going to go into my feminine self. I was going to go into my yielding self. I was going to go into my lover
Same
self.
with the ayahuasca, like you're saying. Ayahuasca is receiving its being, is that shouldn't be on your warrior stage.
No, during your warrior stage, caffeine and cocaine. If you want drugs for your warrior stage, caffeine and cocaine, so you go out there and get it.
That's a good one.
But there will come a time when the sacraments that put us into... Marijuana is feminizing. It's known to be feminizing. It drops your testosterone. THC, especially...
Really?
Yeah, it's known to suppress testosterone.
Oh.
You don't want that, right? I don't advise any young men to smoke marijuana. Like I said, I was
What about CBD?
35. CBD, I think, has the calming effect without the psychotropic effect. I can't say. I don't know. I don't know.
Have you heard about kratom?
I've taken kratom and it's giving me like energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you take too much, it's like a dose. It relaxes you. If you take too little, it gives you like energy. Kava too relaxes.
These are all sacraments though too, because they come from the earth. They're plants.
Exactly, yes.
And so I know when Chris, my partner, played football, he played with a lot of Hawaiians, Polynesians. And after they would play football, you know, you're all tense and you're hard, they would drink kava tea. Kava. And kava, like, just gives you that body high.
Yeah, that's true.
That relaxation. They're all gifts. You got to see what works for you. But I see way too many young men smoking weed that don't need to be, because it's like, it's keeping you soft, it's keeping you feminized, it's keeping you weak.
Losing time or whatever. Yeah. So what herbs are you taking right now? Last question, basically.
I don't really take too many herbs. I mean, curcumin.
Or supplements. Which
probiotics, curcumin.
You recommend any good probiotic that you recommend? Oh, the one from...
P3OM I use. Also, Garden of Life I've used. I've been on and off using Living Fuel for many years. I still love it.
Is it worth it?
I think so. Yeah, I know so, in fact. My children take it.
Pretty expensive, but...
It is.
I'll take a...
I think it's very much worth it.
Okay.
You know, when it comes to spending money, I've always been a fan of spend more on your food.
On your food.
Yeah, me too. Like, as soon as I get like a check or something, I just go right into it.
Yeah, there are these guys buying like $200 designer jeans and shit, but then they eat McDonald's hamburgers, and I'm like, you got it backwards,
Yeah, that's true. And my girl said, go to Publix and go to Whole Foods. I'm like, no, I'm going to Whole Foods. I need good food. I need to eat less of the good food. If I eat bad food, I need to eat more. So
it balances out. And then you got to go to the doctor and pay the doctor's bill and all that shit.
It's going to be much more. Nice.
All right, so last questions to wrap it up. I didn't even read all this. Maybe I hopefully asked all the questions that I needed to ask. So, if you have to give only one piece of advice to all young men around the world, what would it be?
You know, I'm going to go back to what our conversation was about before, and this really comes from the truth of male initiation and its potency and our need for it. And we can begin the process ourselves by releasing all self-judgment, forgiving our mothers and recognizing that our emotionality, our overthinking, our anxiety has probably been impressed upon us by our mother, and we're overly feminized because of it. Letting go, separating from the mother, meaning move away from your mom. If no one's doing it for you, do it for yourself. And atone with your father, your earthly father. Find out who your father is, even if he wasn't there. No matter what judgments you have about him, your mom told you he was a deadbeat, or he left when you were young, or maybe he was an alcoholic. Look, all of that is beside the point. In order for us to come to our Heavenly Father, which is the essence of being a king, to have trust, to have faith, we've got to heal our relationship, come into atonement with our earthly fathers.
Okay.
And so, if you don't know your father, send him a letter, forgive him too. Go find him wherever he is. Don't have any expectations for how he's going to be or what he's going to do. You're not doing it for him. You're doing it for you, and you're doing it for the future generations so that you can be a good man and a good father for your children. And by healing the man, healing the family, we're going to heal the world.
That's amazing. Beautiful. Beautiful. And last question. What would you say are the 5 rituals that you have that has served you the most in your life and why? Wait. Meditation, walking, affirmations, training, and bioenergetics are taken.
Number 1 is frequency. Atoning with the Father and coming to God, the Father, the King. In the East, there is a tradition called Taoism.
Okay.
Taoism is a religion and a philosophy based on following the way. Tao means the way. The way is shown to us through nature. If you want to know God, you look to nature because God impresses himself upon our hearts and upon nature.
Yes.
That's why animals aren't far from God. Men have egos, we do. Babies are close to God, closer to God. Watch the natural frequencies of the planet, of nature. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, adopt the pace of nature, or adopt the ways of nature, her pace is patience. Watch how nature is, and I'd say the very first and most obvious frequency to recognize in nature are the circadian rhythm, the movements of the stars, the sun in particular, and the seasons, winter, spring, summer, and attone your life to these frequencies. Go to bed on time. Get in my most hot red warrior of states, I got to bed on time. I decided I'm going to bed by 10:30. I used to wake up way earlier than I needed to, or I should have, but I understood the value of frequency. These guys, we had an event this weekend, you were there, and they went out afterwards, and Chris invited me, and it was 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock by the time he invited me. I was like, you know, as much as I'd love to, and I see the value in being out there with you guys and enjoying a good time, it's more important for me to get to bed.
Yeah.
Because I honor God in myself first.
Exactly.
Everything else is superficial.
It's going to affect everything else. How you think the next day, how you act, and how you act is going to affect your entire life, basically. Okay. So before we close this up, we would like to give you a gift from my part and from my entire team.
Thank you, guys.
Hope you like it. I saw your last video about gift, and you said that you have everything, like you don't need anything, but you like gift that represents a part of the person who's giving it to you. So this is really a part of all of us.
Yeah.
So I really hope you like it.
Thank you.
There you go.
Very cool. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna open it now. All right. Okay. So I need something to open this up. You have keys there? You want to do that? You want to do that for me? Would you mind? Thank you. And my keys. Thank you. Oh, I know what it is.
You know what it is? Of course.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, this feels.
Special one.
Yeah, it feels special. I can feel it already. It's got a different.
You can give thank you. You can give thank you to my mom. She was the one designing it.
Your mom designed this.
Yes.
Wow, what a blessing, man. Look at that. How old's your mom?
I have no idea. Maybe like she's almost like 50, I think. Yeah,
it's wonderful to see when a woman gets past her, childbearing age.
She's now getting into the creative part. Like she wants to be an astrologist and like in the design. She wants to get into the business.
Yeah. So this makes perfect sense. Yep. She's an entrepreneur. Wow. Is that? Yo, Elliott?
All right. So that's your name.
Wow.
That's obviously date of birth, Aries, your sign.
Yes.
Then you have the 4 archetypes. You have the king. You have, I think this is the lover, magician, and you'll figure it out. The 4 archetypes. Oh
man, this is amazing. Thank you.
And then you have your quote with your think with your heart and love with your mind.
And that's what that represents. That's what that's about.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
This is a little logo right here.
Man, this is
make
so
the little
cool.
stamp, and hope you enjoy it, and hope you get some good energy when you practice your yoga sessions.
Thank you.
Send me some videos and some poses in there.
Yeah, this is
my
so
pleasure.
cool.
My pleasure.
I might have to hang this up on my wall.
How many yoga mats do you have? You have a couple, I guess.
Yeah, I have a few.
Right.
But
this will be the most special one.
But none with my own picture on it. Wow. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Well, Elliott, thank you so much. It was an honor. It was the biggest opportunity of my life. Thank you for not just the interview, but for changing my life for the better from the beginning, from 5 years ago when I was in a very, very deep hole. You completely changed my life. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.